these days. um, so listening to your new album, The Spell, and also your last album as well, and I really like the direction you're going in. It's hard to explain. It kind of reminds me of so many different bands, but there's like, old school metal and doom metal, and then there's the kind of folk element with the hurdy-gurdy that you had in Elveddy, but almost like Cellar Darling a little more, but it's, hard to compare, but at least equally as good. But can you tell us a bit about the new album, The Spell? I only just got a copy today, so I just finished listening to it about 10 minutes ago. Can you tell us
Oh,
about the recording process?
well, The Spell is a concept album. I'm not sure if you could realize that just from listening.
No, not on my first listen.
Yeah, it's a concept album, so we actually wrote the music according to a lyrical guideline. The track list was also already there before writing the music. And that's something we've never done before. So that was a really special process. As far as the recording process goes, a lot of the songs were recorded and actually written in the studio. For some songs, we'd only have rough sketches that we then finished writing at the studio with our producer, Tommy Fetterly. So that was a really rewarding and a highly creative process. And as far as the concept goes, it is a story that is based on a very old motive, and that is of Death and the Maiden, which you might know from Renaissance art.
Yep.
And it's also been depicted in classical music and poetry. And basically, I wanted to take this motive and create my own story out of it. And that is of a girl that falls in love with death, but is then condemned to eternal life. Yeah, that's like the basic outline of the story.
Very interesting. Now, when you write an album, it's you, Ivo, and Merlin. Do you kind of all equally contribute to the songs?
I wouldn't say equally, but like a song is either written by myself or Ivo, and we then always come together and finish working on the song as a band. So it is a very collaborative process in the end.
Yeah. And with the live shows, you've got some session musicians as well. I was just wondering why you decided not to include them in the core band and you're just using them, just for the live shows.
Because we function very well, just the three of us, and we don't feel that there's something missing because, we work with the pianist, with Freddy Schneider, we work with him very closely at the studio. But I also, I write a lot of the piano parts, and so we don't feel that it needs more people to be at the core of the band, because we do collaborate with other people. Freddie as well as Tommy, our producer, they had a lot of impact on the songwriting, but it doesn't really necessarily mean that we need more people to be in the band. It works really well like we have it.
For sure, that makes sense. Just wondering, are you planning on coming back to Australia anytime soon? Because you're doing very well. I think you'd pull a big crowd. Cellar Darling's got like some of the songs have millions of views on YouTube and Spotify. It's got hundreds of thousands of plays. Do you think you got enough fan base here to come down to Australia?
We would absolutely love to, because as you know, we already know the Australian crowds, and we know that you guys are just great. And we also love it there. We spent a couple of days there where we didn't have a show and had a look around, and so we definitely want to, but unfortunately getting a tour and getting shows is not a matter of wanting to. There's a lot of things involved. You need to find people to book you, and the financial stuff, all the boring things.
Yeah.
But we really, really hope that we're going to make it soon. That would be the plan.
Yeah, I'd definitely love to see you come back. Now, when you left Elveddy, were you worried at all? Because Elveddy's a big name band, you played big festivals and you're starting a new project. Were you ever worried that maybe you wouldn't be getting paid as much, or you wouldn't get a big record deal, and you're on Nuclear Blast, so you're obviously doing great.
Well, we're not getting paid as much, so that's definitely one of the things that is hard, because when we were with Helveti, we had an income and we could afford food and apartments and all that kind of stuff. And now it's kind of like we're starting from scratch, but that is normal. With Helveti, it took years until we could, live from playing music. And that's why, it doesn't feel bad, because that's just the way it is. And it's not about that in the end. It's really about our creativity, which has really bloomed with this new band. And I really wouldn't, even though a lot of things are really difficult and harder, I really wouldn't want to change anything.
For sure. And were you surprised that you got signed to Nuclear Blast so fast? Or was that like a big turning point for your new project?
Yeah, I mean, that was amazing for us. We obviously didn't know that would happen, but it's so cool that they put so much trust in us. And I mean, they only heard 2 songs that we self-released, and yeah, they basically just signed us according to these 2 songs. And I really love working with that label, because they're just passionate, and they give the artist the freedom that he needs. It's not about just making money.
That's great. What would you say are some of the career highlights you've had with CELLAR Darling so far? Has there been any particular concerts or festivals that have been something special?
Well, I mean, every gig in itself is kind of special and unique, even the shitty ones.
Yeah.
But something that has a special place in my heart is Prog Power USA. Just because I felt so incredibly comfortable on that stage, which was due to multiple factors: the audience, the crew, the people who promoted it. Everything was just felt so right. And the thing is that I usually don't feel very comfortable on festivals. I'm rather a person to play, these really intimate club shows, but it felt like that, even though it was a festival. So yeah, that was really, really cool.
For sure. And as I mentioned earlier, I saw you on the very, very last Elivity tour in Australia. I was just wondering, was that a weird feeling for you doing that last tour? Were you still enthusiastic about playing the shows, or was there like a weird feeling between the band members at the time?
Well, I'm just going to be honest here. The atmosphere obviously wasn't great, but we could work with it. I mean, it was the 3 of us. It just spent a lot of time together, and I don't think the shows suffered, because we are professional enough that we can really focus on the fans and focus on the show.
Sure. And just out of curiosity, Elivity has released 2 new albums since you left the band, one that you sort of worked on some of the songs. I'm just wondering, did you like the albums? Did you listen to them at all?
Well, actually, they just released one, I think.
Okay, yeah, there's another one set for release in April, it says.
Yeah, exactly. I thought the acoustic album was pretty nice sounding. And as far as the new, I mean, I haven't heard a lot of the new album. We actually crossed paths in the studio and saw each other again. So I heard some of the stuff there, and I thought it sounded pretty cool, actually. I think the new members do an amazing job, and they bring a lot of cool things to the band and add a lot of great things to the sound. But it's also not, I mean, the funny thing is that it's also not that different, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Kriegel is always was the main songwriter, which, so it's great to see that the music functions, even if a lot of members have parted from the band. I think as long as he's there, it's always going to work.
Yeah, for sure. Would you say you had a lot of creative control when you were in the band?
In Helveti?
Yeah, in Helveti.
I did have a creative outlet. I did write some things, but that was very limited. Just because not because somebody would restrain me, but just because I felt there wasn't that much space for me. That's why I've always had so many side projects, because I just need a lot of outlets for different types of styles. Also with CELLAR Darling, not everything is covered. I'll always need my solo project. I'll always need bands like Lethe and Fragment to do other things. So, but yeah, for me, I actually enjoyed playing in Helveti a lot. But now's a new chapter, and it's also great to move on from great things.
Mm-hmm. You started in Helveti, I think, when you were 16. Just wondering, you've been playing music a very long time. How old were you when you first started singing and playing hurdy-gurdy?
Well, I was 16 when I started playing hurdy-gurdy, and the singing kind of just happened on its own accord. Kriegel asked me, well, can you sing? And I said, well, I don't know. And I just kind of tried. And I mean, in the beginning, let's be honest, I was pretty shit. But I think you could hear that there's something there. I've always had a voice. I just didn't always know how to control it. And especially since I'm not a trained singer, my technique develops by writing songs and by performing with the band. I don't do lessons and things like that. So,
wow, so you've never taken a lesson at all. That's incredible.
I have taken lessons. Like, just if I knew, okay, I'm having a problem with this, I would seek advice, but I never took lessons like on a regular basis.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I think I always liked about your voice. I can compare it to, singers, like Floor Jansen, and they're great, and, but they sound like very trained vocalists, but you have kind of like a unique pitch or a unique vocal tone, which is why I think I always preferred your music.
Yeah, it's just very, like, I'm a singer that focuses on characteristics and emotion. And it's great to have a superb technique, but it's really not everything. And the singers I'm inspired by, they sing in a very unique style, and it's not all about hitting the notes and doing it without harming your voice. And there's singers that have both. They have the perfect technique, but also put the necessary emotion into the voice. And I mean, that's the perfect combination. It's kind of what I'm trying to achieve. And, maybe someday I will.
Yeah, for sure. Now it's early in the year. I've got to ask, what are the plans for CELLAR Darling in 2019?
It is 2019, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Only
Well,
just.
we're gonna do some touring, obviously. We have a UK tour planned. We're joining Catatonia for a tour in May, which is really exciting for us. And everything else is kind of in the works. We're planning some other tours, but nothing is really confirmed yet. Yeah, but we're really going to focus on promoting the spell and playing live.
Excellent. Well, I hope if maybe possibly later in the year, maybe a promoter will send you an offer to come to Australia, and if that happens, I'll definitely be at the show.
Yeah, I really hope so. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Awesome. Well, your brand new album, The Spell, comes out 22nd of March, and it's on Nuclear Blast Records, and that'll be on CD, vinyl, Spotify, YouTube. So I hope people enjoy it. I've enjoyed the songs I've heard so far. I think it's a great album.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. I hope the album does really well, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Bye, Anna.
Bye.